What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Showtime. This is the Blazer King with King's Critiques. Not for a review, but for a video. Because, actually, you know what? I'm gonna... Hold on. Before I get started with the actual... I did... Yeah. I saw a thing that I imagine was going to be a popular trend on Twitter last night, this morning. When it was, let's see, 16 hours ago would be, yeah, like 2, 3 in the morning. So, I arranged my list like it is here. Now, that's not to say anything underneath 5 I actually dislike that much. No, just because I'm not hateful when it comes to anime. So, what I thought we're going to do is make up for that here. So I can post my opinion on Twitter. Maybe even post a link to this and that as a bit of a makeup. Actually share my personal opinions while I'm still like 90% in the right frame of mind, because honestly I'm never in the right frame of mind. You know, I'm kind of like a depressed individual all the time. But there was something I didn't want to include in this list because it involved editing that if people saw I liked it that much, they'd call me into question. But we're just going to say that there was a 10 on here already, and that was Elfin Lied. More so on nostalgia's sake, and, well, Lucy is definitely one of my favorite protagonists of all time. Because if you see 3 little kids murdering a puppy, you best be murdering those children. Or at the very least, making sure they get into juvie for a very long time. And it has been since I started the channel, since I went over the shit on my anime list, so we're here to, go over what's in my top and dropping down and explaining on my thoughts of it and if they still belong there. And, well, the nostalgic ones are just going to be hard to argue with. Like, Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z, those are things that are just nostalgic and things that anybody from my era would love and not be able to ever hate for any reason. Now, I will say there were a couple of slow parts in both of those shows, because I mean, Dragon Ball Z had a lot of filler that Kai inevitably got rid of. But even some of that filler was really good. Like Goku's little trip down to Hiffle, that was actually entertaining. Meeting, wow, I forgot what her name was. I think it was some play on Medusa. On Snake Way. Like, that was good filler. Unlike all the, pretty much all the crap we get with Naruto and One Piece and all those kind of things nowadays. In Yu Yu Hakusho, I really have nothing bad to say other than the whole dropping he's part demon way late into the series. Because throughout most of it, we were meant to believe that he was just specifically human and yada yada yada, which clearly didn't go that route, but those two could get knocked down to a 9, but they're fine where they are for nostalgia's sake. Rosario Vampire, I could knock down to a 9, because honestly, I probably love it so much as my second ever ecchi involved show. So, while, yeah, the nostalgia glasses are there a little bit, it is, like, a beautiful animation studio. The waifus are all gorgeous. The plot was a little weak, but the fight scenes at least were decent enough to make up for it for what few there were. So, again, a case I could knock it down a notch or two, but the first season of Saikon no Quasar, that is one that, yeah, could definitely be knocked down a couple notches, and it's just so high because fight scenes were great, waifus were excellent, albeit a bit, excessive. But, here's the thing. A, pervert. B, Yuri aficionado, and there was at least one Yuri pairing in the first season. High School of Dead. Same thing as I just mentioned. You know, the art, the waifus, the ecchi context, and honestly, just for the fact we're never gonna see a season 2 ever for this, that, or the other reason. Couple things sad, couple things. Mm. But yeah, it deserves where it is, because it can't be improved on with no season 2, since all we got was the OVA, which the OVA was fantastic as well. Madoka Magic I'm not making any excuses for. That deserves to be here. Like, it, it has no clear waifus per se. Well, maybe mommy, but that's neither here nor there. It does have that aspect of Yuri that I love so very much in a lot of shows, which is why I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat for the obvious coming up. But that's not even the part that made it so good. That's just what capped off on why it was so good. The storytelling went very well for this show throughout the entirety of it. Like, yeah, the wish that Sakuya made was kind of dumb in the long run, but Sakuya, was that her name? I think that was her name. Regardless. Yeah. But that was honestly the only thing of all of what the girls went through that I called into question. Because it's one of those magical girl tropes of, yeah, I really want to be cool and awesome and be a magical girl and be able to save people. But it explains the unfortunate half of why these girls do what they do. Another one of the best horror series I've seen, because it's not like brutal and, just someone or something randomly killing people. Nah, well, okay, it is kind of something, but it's just a curse and a bunch of unfortunate accidents. And that's pretty much how it ended, really, because a lot of those deaths were just accidental. A couple of them near the end were more or less intentional, but I mean, it did kind of give us one of the most iconic deaths in an anime ever with that stairwell umbrella scene. And this one I do hold a little bit of remorse for putting as highly as I do, but that's only because of what it makes me look like. So, I'm not going to give my reasonings for why it's so high, other than the fact it's part of the Fate franchise, and there's, certain aspects about it. Though I will say we at least get to see the housemaids that Ilya has, and they're both just gorgeous. So that, at the least, I will say. Everything else, yeah, roast me, because... Actually, no, I can also really give a lot of credit to the fight scenes, because, past the obvious, the actual fight scenes, whether it be infighting with Rin, Luvia, Bezet, Ilya, Chloe, and all of them, or actually fighting rogue heroic spirits or something. A lot of good fight scenes going. I haven't watched the third season yet, or the movies, but obviously I intend to. Kill la Kill also doesn't need any explanation, because it has a bunch of the stuff we've already gone over. Between the perversion, slight Yuri aspects, major Yuri aspects, though on that one it's kind of a lot to call into question. And the fight scenes are really good, and the animation might be a bit weird at times, but it's Trigger. Weird animation is replaced by just glorious animation in other places. Akuma no Riddle is another one of those I will hold no qualms or arguments about why it is where it is. Because Akuma no Riddle is, again, one of the best short-lived anime I've seen. I even have 2 wall scrolls from the show because I love it so much. Like, it's full of Yuri pairings. At least 2 of which actually made canon. The fight scenes that we get are just awesome. The storytelling is bit hit and miss here and there, but it all comes together really well, and the OVA for that show was also really entertaining. So, yeah, like, it hits all fields. And now we come to the first proper rom-com type thing with Sakura Trick, which... rom-com. Yuri. I don't need to say literally anything else. There's not really any story other than it's kind of like Citrus in the way of they don't want to quite admit they don't feel the way they do about each other, I guess. Or totally ignore that other thing. I don't... this is one of those things I don't know how to explain a lot about. Like, I remember stuff from it, I just don't remember the entirety of it. I remember it was one of the first time travel anime I saw. And that itself made it really good. Like, I remember the plot was basically where they started was where they ended, and there was a good reason behind it. So I don't have a lot to say about that, other than the fact it's something I recommend checking out a couple episodes of. Parasite, I mean, that's one of those things that's highly acclaimed by a lot of different people. Because the manga was great, and the anime was really fucking well done. The intro, too, beautiful. And it's also one of the few anime where the hero actually gets to have his time with the main girl he's in love with before going on a death-defying mission. I've only seen shit like that, like, 4 times, and that's being generous. Kakaider? Or is, yeah, I think it was Kakaider. That's another show I can remember that was like that. You know, where it's like, yeah, we could die doing this. Well, do you want to fuck first? And it's like, why, yes. Yes, I do. But even aside that little moment, which, good for the main character for actually being able to get that far, because even though the main characters in a lot of these shows are pretty badass, they rarely ever do, except for in the cases where that is basically the plot, like the one that's on the bottom of my screen right now. But, yeah, Migi's a smartass, but the best alien in that show, and one of those that, yeah, it's totally worth watching at some point or another. It's not overtly long. It's 24 episodes, one of those typical Shonen Jumpy kind of things. It's not a Shonen Jump anime, but it's along a similar line. I Want to Be the Twin Tail? Probably could get knocked down a notch or two. Because it might just be how I felt about it at the time. It is where it is. Because here's basically the highlights of it. Genderman, Yuri, fetishes for bad guys. I'm not even joking on that one. Every bad guy literally follows under some kind of fetish. And while I wouldn't be opposed to Season 2 one day, because it was thoroughly entertaining, it's not one of those that I'd, like, sell my soul to get more of. Though, skipping down a couple, because I already talked about the OVA for Akuma no Riddle, a show that has more than one season, that I wasn't aware had more than one season, that I really need to watch at some point, Yugi Yuna, which is another one of those magical girl series that falls in line with Madoka Magica. But unlike in that, it's not the girls become the enemy that the magical girls are fighting when they get too weak or depressed or something. No, these girls fight until they literally can't move anymore. Like, it has the dark magical girl thing, it has the Yuri thing, it has a couple of waifu-esque characters from what I recall. But, yeah, the plot's just so depressing on the you can fight as hard as you want against the enemy that we have in front of us, but you're gonna pay for it one day. And that's what really held my intrigue and is what's calling to me to come back. And you can, obviously, I'll break away right now just to say we're 20 in and we're still in the tens, so that kind of explains how much I like things. It's very hard for me to hate things. But also because I am a sucker for good animation or perversion, usually. And that's what most of this has. But I'm also a sucker for great storytelling, which a lot of it has. Some of it not as much as others, but by this point I can admit that. I'm not going to go in specifically to knock it down a notch or two, but I'm just saying it could. Kind of like the student council president is my wife. I think that's the name of this. To which openly saying, yeah, it's another one of those things that's pretty much just because it's comedic with perversion involved. Not really much else I can say than that. It was funny, showed some opie, and yeah. So I could knock it down 2 or 3 pegs, admittedly. Charlotte is iconic. Like, it has enough memes from it that makes it iconic as far as that goes. Is that a good or a bad thing? Could not tell you. But it was a good anime. The plot was kind of shaky at points, but the longevity of the plot was really good. Like, I say that fucking word way too much. That's a bad commentator thing to do, Jesus Christ. Anyway. The main character, his power started as one thing, but then he realized he could do other things that actually left him as the hope to his entire culture of people, let's put it that way. And while the ending is kind of bittersweet, at least it was a decent way to wrap things up from what I recall. Stumbling back to perversion with Prison School, which is, yeah, no, there's literally nothing else I can say about it. It's kind of comedy, but it's like 90% ecchi. I could leave it where it is. I could knock it down a notch or two. There's not a lot to say. Like, there's a lot of choice waifus, including the main headmistress or whatever. But yeah, that's really all I got for you. 100? Yeah, I can't say a lot for that. I don't remember this plot specifically. I remember there's a ton of waifus, and there's obviously a select number of people that were, like, given power suits or something. I think that was the... I don't remember. Just honestly. I remember I adored it at the time. And now I just don't even remember what it was. I remember it's one of those things I'd go back to watch with somebody if it was their first time watching it, but... High School Fleet, only thing I can really say about that is it falls in line with a lot of anime that have popped in the last decade or so of cute girls doing this thing. So there's a couple of waifus from what I recall. There's obviously the Yuri bait. But it's not just that. They're actually on, ships in the water. And those ships get attacked. So that turns the show from being like this cute little jaunt to actually having a bit of a serious tone to it from what I remember. So while I can't remember anything specific about it, I do remember that it was like more than meets the eye. Hybrid Heart. Okay, I think this is the last one I'm actually going to talk about since we're still in the tens and Obviously, they're on my bar. There's a lot to go over, so instead of going like in depth with everything, because I'm probably like 15, 20 minutes into this video. But yeah, Hybrid Heart, the lewd, etchy stuff is part of the plot. Like, literally, they do lewd things to power each other up. And shows like that actually entertain me for both the obvious reasons and the reason of, I mean, shit, if someone's horny can drive their power, shit, I'd be like Superman. So while it could be knocked down a peg, it's one of those things I would not mind a season 2 of. But we're just gonna start scrolling and that's the other 2 seasons of that other show. Oh, hey, we're actually almost to other stuff. Yeah, Keijo deserves his place for the reasons that we're aware of. Flip Flappers, Trigger, Yuri. Need I say more? Izetta. It was just a really fun show, and it's Yuri, so come on. Little Witch Academia, Borderline Yuri, Trigger. 7 Deadly Sins Season 1. Nobody can hate me on this because Season 1 was just the best thing. Wait, is that 7 Deadly or 7 Mortal? No, I think this is 7 Mortal, actually. Which, yeah, no, that's 7 Mortal Sins, so yeah, perversion. Also, should I start playing that game on this channel? Will YouTube boot me? Maybe I'll try, maybe we'll see, let me know. Citrus, Yuri. I might knock this one down a little bit, because yeah, it's Yuri, but it's also a little bit of cucking. And that's why my number one will forever be School Days, is because it's just one giant cuck. So that definitely could not be knocked down at least a couple of pegs, because while it's Yuri, it's kind of meh. Darwin's Game? Boy, I love survival game anime. There's some of the best stuff ever. The Executioner and Her Way of Life, also really good show because of Yuri bait, beautiful animation, and a few pretty damn good fight scenes. And the plot is actually more or less pretty solid too. Kakegurui Twin, sequel series, kinda sorta, to the original. But y'all saw my solo review of that, and if you didn't, you should go check it out. The Yuri bait in it, and it's kind of like a survival game. It's just beautiful. Now we're finally getting into the 9s, though. A lot of these I seem to have filtered my nostalgia glasses quite a bit, surprisingly. Trigun definitely could be a 10, but I didn't remember enough about it back in the day, especially compared to the remake. I don't know if the stories are even close to being similar, other than Vash and Knives having their brotherly squabble, and I hope they do get a fight scene at the end of the current one soon. Probably next season, though. But, yeah, we're just gonna... Trigun was nerfed by not remembering it well enough. Full Metal Alchemist, not as good as Brotherhood in parts, but it also is better in other parts. They're probably both, honestly, here on 9. The original Shaman King, still need to finish the new one, but the original Shaman King can sit right at 9 or 10, honestly. Honestly, most things here are, and I just... Dragon Ball GT, yeah, not as good as Z. Not as good as Super either. Hellgirl, apparently I haven't seen all of Hellgirl, so I can't really say much, but for what I did see, great show. Hellsing, I mean, come on, if it's one of everyone's favorites, but a lot of people do like Abridged just a little bit more, like Dragon Ball. Advent Children, great movie. Paranoia Agent. The art style is a little fucked up and a really slow go into the plot, but pretty good. Fate Stay Night, which is like the ipso facto start of if you're gonna watch a Fate series, because that's like the pivotal point. Obviously, Zero is where you should start before that, but you know, original Yu-Gi-Oh! Come on, it's a classic. Has nothing to make it better than what it is, but it's classic, like Pokemon and Digimon. Though that's the third season of Digimon, but Girl Meets Girl. Listen, I'm just gonna put this in a certain context. If there's a lot of gender bender Yuri type anime that's happened recently, so yeah, tell me that that would not fit in today's style of anime, and you'd be wrong. Because it's literally guys in love with girl, guy gets turned into girl, and then those two become close anyway and end up marrying each other. Spoiler. And here I am still explaining shit, even though I... Whatever. Honestly, what I think I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to scroll down to see what's actually in my bottom 5. That sound more fair? And I'll just scroll slowly so you guys can, like, burn me for anything that might be above that. Instead of me having to give reasoning, because it's not like I can pick what certain things are above other things when they're all the same number. But if you guys see something you want to question, you can go ahead and comment down below. Quick note, Dog and Scissors was honestly the kind of thing I was expecting Inuki-san's dog to be like. All I wanted to say, because it definitely is not. And another thing, High Score Girl, one of the first anime I saw from Square Enix that just gave my full appreciation to Square Enix for what they do anime-wise. Sorry, the music stopped at some point. YouTube do be stupid like that sometimes. Taboo Tattoo's another one of those things I'm never gonna fucking understand why we didn't get a season 2, even though we were, like, reviewed a season 2. Like, I know it didn't get a lot of good ratings, but there's a lot of very mediocre shows that have, like, 8 seasons. Like, Hatelia. I never hear anything good about Hatelia, but there's, like, 8 seasons to it. You know, I just legit do not hate on anime, do I? I'm still in 9s, and I'm at 156. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're just gonna... We're not even gonna fucking... You guys can ask me specific opinions in the comment section. I'm just gonna keep going until I hit 5. Wait, there's a lot of shit I didn't even rate at all? What? Okay, those we're gonna have to go more into. Graviation, yeah, okay, that kind of deserves 5th place, a 5 spot at least, if not lower, because decent story, but it's yaoi, and I have nothing against yaoi. Obviously, I'm like a huge fan of Yuri, and having something against yaoi would kind of make me a bit but critical. But yeah, it was one of my first anime period, and I watched it when I was like 13, 14. So I literally just watched the anime I could get my hands on, and that existed on like Netflix or something back when they were disc only. And Your Lie in April, I know it is one of the best anime of all time, but I will not put it much more than another spot or two up just because it has beautiful animation with a great storyline. The fact they needed to kill a cat in order to give the story more reason just didn't sit well with me. And that's how that is. So we'll go over the things that have no rating because I forgot to rate them. Popotan. Don't remember a lot about it other than waifus. It was comedy, and I think it kind of had some sort of sci-fi or fantasy aspect to it too. But I don't think it ever got too deep in that. Kiba, another one of those shows that I watched when Netflix was disc only. And it was actually really good. The story was solid, the fight scenes were great. The main character was pretty edgy from what I recall, but he was still a really good dude. It's a pretty worthwhile anime, honestly, if you're willing to spend 50 some odd episodes. Orin High School Host Club. Ah, hard call on that one. I'd probably put it at best a 7. Because it was a really good comedy. And it was a reverse harem anime, which aren't typically my thing, but it was still a pretty damn good show. Especially because they actually wrapped it up quite nicely with, the main girl and main guy getting together kind of, sort of, by the end. First season of Familiar of Zero, can't remember, so I'm not going to give that a specific number. Is that like the third to last season of Higurashi right there? Yeah, I think so. That should honestly be like a 9 or a 10 with the rest of them. I love Higurashi. Higurashi is one of my favorite horror anime series ever. It is so fucking good. Really creepy, really gory, really just so good. A lot of the time, the story gets kind of weak, but every season they figured a way to revamp it into something else. Got a little weird at the end when it was like very supernatural and stuff, but I suppose if you're already going to have one supernatural aspect with a curse taking place and people constantly reviving after dying and living the same story over and over again, that's how you do it. Well, School Days is kind of self-explanatory. It doesn't even deserve a 1 rating. It deserves a 0 rating, in my opinion. The only thing that would have made it actually decent and worthwhile is if it were a hentai first. And that is not even a joke. Like, I know it is a porn game primarily. But if it had come out as like a redo healer kind of thing, that at least would have made it more bearable to watch. Because at least you have gotten to see all the scummery the main character was doing, instead of just it being hinted at, and the 2 main girls he had some involvement in just being completely left out of the equation until the end. Where I went over High School of the Dead OVA. Fate Zero should be in about the same place as Stay Night at least. Obviously that includes season 2. Yuri only saw the first season, but it's cute girls doing things and kinda Yuri-ish, despite the name. It's not as deep into the Yuri thing as most of these shows. But still a good show. Like, checking it out if you're into that kind of stuff, You know, like do it yourself or let's make a mug, that kind of thing. Definitely check it out. Hunter x Hunter is one of the best anime of all time. It should be a 10 spot. Fruit of Grisaia. Oh, how do I list that one? Fruit of Grisaia is another one of those shows that started as a porn game. But it actually did it well to where it didn't show off all of those kind of aspects. Like, the plot was iffy at first, but as the series went on with another season or two, it actually became really solid and stable to where it was quite entertaining to see. So, again, I recommend checking out at least the first season, because waifus, good action scenes, decent story, and a lot of other details I can't really fill you in on right now, because I don't remember it that well. Though I might rewatch it uncensored one day. And I don't know why My Hero Academia, just the fourth season, is unrated, but can throw that up to a 9. But yeah, see, this is what I mean. I don't hate anime. I never hate anime. Like, I have a hentai here. I have cute girls doing cute things. Cute girls doing cute things. This probably could get knocked down a notch or two, but actually it wasn't that bad. Nyanko Days. Really short episodes, but pretty decent show. Haven't you heard of Sakamoto? Decent show. Hentai. Yu-Gi-Oh movie. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh movie. Like, 7 through 9 is where it deserves. Just, yeah, there's a lot of this stuff that probably could get knocked down another notch or two, but I'm not a hateful person. But hell, I think what I will start doing is when an anime ends, maybe I'll, like, come over here to my anime list to give my final number on what I thought of the show. But, yeah. You guys can ask me about anything in specific. You can ask me if I've seen anything in specific you don't see when I'm scrolling by this list. Like I said, I'm always looking for other suggestions, and if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts about a specific show, movie, whatever, ask and I'll let you know in the comment section down below. But that said, I'm just going to leave it here with zero shame about all the hentai that is on my watched list, because I've been single for 14 years. I'm obviously a pervert when I review some of these anime, so it's not like it's a surprise to anybody that I'm willing to share the hentai I've seen. But I should probably stop using that word so many times before YouTube's like, But yeah, let me know all that stuff. I have a lot of anime to watch and catch up to over the course of the next couple of weeks at least. So yeah, let me know if you want to hear my opinion on stuff in the comment section, and any other stuff I should watch when I have less stuff to watch to catch up to in the comment section down below, as well as, of course, don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe to my main channel in the description down below. Ring both bells like Facebook follow to keep updated with things TikTok. I'll upload videos under 10 minutes from both channels. Twitch, subscribe there for benefits. Can do so at Twitch Prime for free. All the subscriptions help out immensely. Over there is an instant gratification. Over here I need a little under 150 for partner, but less than I have because, well, a few jerks decide to unsubscribe, which is all fine and dandy once I'm at my bare minimum and have partner status, but come on, it's rude to unsubscribe. So hit that button. And I need a ton of watch time too, so don't forget. Playlist here, video recommended there. Until next time, I've been Blaze King with King's Critiques. Out, top, top, out.